start off by thanking the men and women of the Highway Patrol, St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and all the municipal police departments. They did a fine job tonight protecting the citizens of Ferguson. Tonight, a Sunday that started with prayers and messages of unity, peace, and justice, took a very different turn after dark. Molotov cocktails were thrown. There were shootings, looting, vandalism, and other acts of violence that clearly appear not to have been spontaneous and premeditated criminal acts designed to damage property, hurt people, and provoke a response. The catalyst was not civil disobedience, but pre-planned agitation and aggression, coordinated in many cases. When Governor Nixon and Colonel Rapolo first assigned me to the task of helping restore order to Ferguson, our basic principles were to protect people's ability to make their voices heard. While keeping this community safe, we needed to protect the good people of Ferguson, their businesses, and their property. That's why earlier tonight, we were walking with and listening to the peaceful protesters, voicing their frustration in a way that doesn't put others in personal danger. That's also why when we saw violent acts, including shootings and throwing of Molotov cocktails and the destruction of businesses, we had to act to protect lives and property. The situation first started to deteriorate with a shooting of a civilian on West Florissant and Ferguson Avenue at approximately 8:25 p.m. We quickly responded with additional officers to reach the victim and got them to a safe position. That was followed by shots being fired on officers, a number of Molotov cocktails being hurled, and then the looting or vandalism of businesses that included a Domino's Pizza, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, a Family Dollar store, and a self-storage business. All were on West Florissant. These are some of the shootings tonight, in addition to the shooting at 8:25 p.m. 1 minute later at 8:26, shots were fired to the north on Canfield. At 8:27, there was a report of a subject down. At 8:28, there was a report of 8 people with guns. Tactical teams were dispatched. At 8:56, hundreds of protesters marched toward the Northley Shopping Center, where we stand at this moment, the site of this command post. As the crowd approached the shopping center, multiple Molotov cocktails were thrown at police. At that time, police deployed tear gas in an attempt to disperse the crowd and stop the violent action. At that time, we called in additional support from area police agencies. At 9:15, there was a call for a large crowd gathering at the McDonald's on West Florissant. At 9:20, it was reported that McDonald's was being overrun and employees were had locked themselves in the storage room. There were multiple additional reports of Molotov cocktails being thrown. Police were shot at. Makeshift barricades were set up to block police. Bottles and rockets were thrown at police. Based on these conditions, I had no alternative but to elevate the level of our response. For those who would claim that the curfew was what led to tonight's violence, I will remind you, this incident began before 8:30, 3.5 hours before the curfew was to have started last night. Tonight by teleconference, Chief John Belmer of the St. Louis County Police Department, Chief Sam Dodson of the St. Louis City Police Department, and I have been in discussion with Governor Jay Nixon Colonel Republic, who were at the Highway Patrol headquarters in Jefferson City. We are planning additional steps to quiet the violence. We are all determined to restore peace and safety to the people of Ferguson, and I believe the continued resolve of the good people of this community ultimately triumph over the few people bent on violence and destruction. I have time to take a few questions before I return to operational planning.
How many people have been injured? How many people have been injured?
We had I believe at least 3 people. We had a couple shooting victims. So I think 2 or 3 people have been injured.
So were those random shootings? Were those random shootings, or were
Yes, those shootings, we were responding to those shootings. Those shootings occurred out in the field, had nothing to do with law enforcement. It was between people that were actually out on the scene.
Were they involved in the protest, or? I mean, they weren't domestic shootings.
No, they're not. There were people that were out on cross.
Officers injured?
There were no officers injured.
So you mentioned additional steps.